almost like the Flashpoint, where it starts, one of the key matrix lines that will help shatter this status centralized system.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Flashpoint Radio, and I am your host, Jay-Z. Thank you for joining me. It is Friday, August 3rd, 2012, and this is our Friday economic edition of Flashpoint Radio. Let's get right into it because there was news made today. It's the first Friday of the month, and that means the jobs report from USA Today. Obama advisor, jobless rate is really 8.254%. It was reported earlier today that the unemployment rate jumped to 8.3%, but the Obama administration was quick to jump in and say, no, 8.254%. Never before have they gone to that many decimal places to explain away a weak economy. And, well, at last check, the Dow closed up 217 points. So it seems that the Dow Industrial Average in the stock market, Wall Street, does not care that the unemployment rate went up last month. From CNBC.com, though, real unemployment rate shows far more jobless. Yeah, it's called the U6, which includes those discouraged potential employees who have quit looking or the underemployed, those who want to work full-time but are forced to work part-time. In Nevada, the U6 is 22.1%, California 20.3%. The national average is 14.9%, off its record peak of 17.2% in October 2009. I'd say that the true unemployment rate is more like 18 to 24%. But when it comes to numbers, those who create the numbers create the truth. Do your own research and find out for yourself. And well, things aren't that bad in California, are they? From the Associated Press, San Bernardino files for Chapter 9 bankruptcy. The city of 210,000 people, about 60 miles east of Los Angeles, declared a fiscal emergency July 18th. It has become the third California city to declare insolvency this year, joining Stockton and Mammoth Lakes. So, California, you are well on your way to economical health. Are you not? No, I'd say no. You're well on your way to economic collapse, and that will, in turn, draw in the rest of the nation. All it will take is one state to collapse for all the other dominoes to go tumbling over. And how about some government-funded or government-supported companies and how they're doing in this global economy? From The Guardian, GM profits slip 41% as European struggles take their toll. America's largest car firm made $1.5 billion in the second quarter, with European divisions reporting operating losses of $361 million. So yes, that bailout is now paying its dividends of a 41% profits slide for GM. But that's not stopping our government. From the Washington Times, government motors. Feds keep expanding fleet of cars. Budgets may be tight, but the federal government has increased its fleet of cars to 449,000 vehicles. Nearly one for every 7 federal employees, according to the Government Accountability Office. So yes, while you're selling a car to downsize to a used car, the government is buying brand new Chevrolets. Might be boosting Chevrolet's bottom line, don't you think? How about another company that's supported by our government and taxpayers, namely Amtrak? From Washington Examiner, Amtrak lost $800 million on cheeseburgers and sodas. Taxpayers lost $833 million over the last decade on the food and beverages supplied by Amtrak, which managed to spend $1.70 for every dollar received in revenue. It cost passengers $9.50 to buy a cheeseburger on Amtrak, but the cost to taxpayers is $16.15. Riders pay $2 for a Pepsi, but each of these sodas cost the U.S. Treasury $3.40. Your subsidies, government subsidies at work. Don't you love propping up companies that should be already bankrupt? From Market Watch, Wall Street Journal, the real crash is dead ahead as 2008 is forgotten. Facebook will become the poster child for the current social media bubble, warns economist Gary Shilling in his latest Forbes column. Just as Pets.com was for the dot-com bubble, yes, Wall Street is repeating the 2000 dot-com crash as today's social media bubble crashes and burns. Yes, worth is overinflated for social media. Those click-through links, those ads on the side of the page, yeah, they don't produce profits, even though those companies stated they do. So yes, we're looking at another internet collapse that will once again tumble and pull down other markets, this time led by Facebook, so says Gary Shilling. How about this from CNBC? Wall Street legend Sandy Weill break up the big banks. Former Citigroup chairman and CEO Sanford I. Weill, the man who invented the financial supermarket, called for a breakup of big banks in an interview on CNBC Wednesday. Yes, he was instrumental in repealing the Glass-Steagal Act, which imposed banking reforms that split banks from other financial institutions as insurance companies, which created too big to fail, and now he's saying, break them up. So thanks, Sandy Weill. Where were you when we needed you, or when you were actually being the actual perpetrator of the crime? From TimeBusiness.com, former TARP official, both parties captive to the big banks. Neil Barofsky, former Special Investigator General for TARP, the $700 billion bailout fund launched in 2008, is out with a new book called Bailout, and he's stating that both parties are captive to the big banks. And once again, he states we need to break up the banks. And well, Neil, it would be nice if you would have come out with this before you wrote a book. But instead, all of this information, all of this shining a light on Timothy Geithner and the corruption in the Obama administration is only to help your bottom line personally by selling more books. You don't care about the health, the economic health of this nation any more than Barack Obama or Timothy Geithner. All you care about is making your own money, which you and all of your buddies have been doing for years. And finally, from the Daily Caller, an Audit the Fed story. 8 co-sponsors of Audit the Fed voted against it without explanation. The House of Representatives approved Texas Republican Ron Paul's Federal Reserve Transparency Act of 2012 by a wide margin in a 327-98 vote last Wednesday. But lost in the bipartisan revelry was the fact that 8 co-sponsors of the legislation actually voted against it. Well, this is actually quite unheard of, that people that actually put their name on a legislation would vote against it. On top of the 8 co-sponsors in the House that voted against it, you have Reid in the Senate stating that this bill will not come to a vote in the Senate this year, which is funny considering for 20 years he was an ardent supporter of an Audit the Fed bill and wanted transparency involving the Federal Reserve. But now he's changed his tune, has he not? It just goes to show you that the big banks, Wall Street, central banking namely, controls our politicians. They will do whatever they are told to do. Why? Their campaigns are funded by Wall Street. They're not funded by you and me. Ron Paul is the only candidate who got a majority of his donations from individual citizens. Everyone else got theirs from big money. Goldman Sachs is the #1 contributor to both the Obama and Romney campaigns. So when you vote in November, remember, voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil. And you can't complain if you vote for evil and it turns out to be evil. I will abstain from voting. That way I can complain all I want because I opted out of the corrupt system that we call the two-party system. That's all I have for you on this Friday edition of Flashpoint Radio. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next week. Jay-Z signing off saying God bless and keep your eyes to the sky.